Hey everybody, it's Ziz here, and today we have got to talk about what's going on with Crowfall and what I think is a massive mistake they're making. And I'm not trying to be sensationalist or clickbaity. I honestly believe, personally for me, this is maybe one of the worst things I've seen happen in a game that could potentially kill it. And this is something I've been thinking about for a while. If you notice, I haven't put out a ton of Crowfall content recently. Because there were some things that I kind of didn't like the way they felt. But recently there were some comments by the developers, a couple different things that when they said that, I was like, wait a minute. So I'm going to play those clips. We're going to talk about this stuff. There's a couple things I want to go over, but the main thing that I think is really just going to potentially destroy this game is soft launch. And that's not something new. That's not something that just happened. That's been their plan for a while now. But what they just said recently kind of pushed me over the edge, and we got to talk about what's going on. Now, if you aren't familiar with what soft launch means, don't feel bad because they haven't really explained what it's going to look like. We don't know what campaigns or features are actually going to be in this, but we do know it's going to be incomplete, and we also know there's going to be no more wipes. That's right. Your training, your progression is going to be permanent starting from soft launch. And that has a lot of huge implications I want to talk about. But first, I think it's most important to understand why they are starting soft launch. What is their reason? Is it because the game is so great? All of the testers are clamoring and asking and begging for the game to release so they can start playing right away? No. This is the reason why Gordon Walton, the #2 guy at Crowfall, said they want to do a soft launch.
Well, if you say beta, can you charge?
A lot of games do.
Okay. Well, I mean, we don't think that you should charge for betas, so we're calling our thing.
Okay.
So we have an incomplete game with permanent progression, and they're only releasing it because they want to start charging us. Okay, sure, I'll go for that. But it gets even worse. Passive training, if you only buy the box at $50, lets you passively train one class at a time. Now, you basically are going to have to play the game to know what class is good and what you want to play, right? Unless you just want to guess and say, hey, I'll just take a random guess and never play the game. But if you want to be competitive and start training right away, you kind of need to play the game, which doesn't sound so bad unless the part of the game you wanted to play isn't even going to be in. If you bought this game because you wanted free-for-all loot and they're not going to have that, then are you really going to enjoy being forced to play the game? Or what if you wanted to play a three-way war, like from Dark Age of Camelot or Guild Wars 2, and you like that idea? Are they going to have that or not have that? What if they don't have the features that you actually wanted and liked and enjoyed about the game? They don't have it in there. Well, you can just say, oh, well, just don't play the game, which some people have said. All you have to do is log in and click on the passive tree to pick what you want. You don't even have to play. You had to pay $50 to start your passive training, but you don't have to play. You can just let passive training. Are you even going to know what passive training you should or shouldn't pick if you're not playing the game? No, you can just guess. And don't worry if you pick the wrong thing, because guess what? It's only permanent forever and you can never catch up. But worse than that, remember, you only train one class. If you pay VIP monthly, you can train 3 classes. Now let's be very clear here. That doesn't make you more powerful. If I'm playing the one guy I trained, you can only play one guy you've trained. So we're at the same power basically. But what if the one thing I picked is underpowered? It doesn't really fit. I picked the wrong stuff because I didn't really know exactly, and I want to switch to something that's better. I better hope I picked the right one on my first shot. This guy, he's got 3 things that he can switch between. Maybe one of his classes is great at solo ganking. Maybe another one is great at sieges and AoE. And maybe he has another one that's great at harvesting because he can go in stealth. It sounds like maybe he's a little bit more powerful than I was. So now I kind of got to start playing for VIP, don't I? Well, the way they framed it so far is that it's kind of optional, right? Well, this is what they said about VIP.
I will say that we want VIP to be stupidly valuable.
Right.
That's what we want. So, and if we hit that mark, then a lot of people will use VIP, and if we don't, they won't.
So now we know that VIP is going to be as required as they can possibly make it. So they're going to do everything in their power, at least in my opinion, to make it required, as long as they can get away with saying it's not pay to win, right? Like, they don't want to get that stigma of pay to win, but they're going to do everything in their power to make you get VIP, which is kind of contrary to what he said just 30 minutes before in the same podcast, how he knows that some people can't pay for VIP.
And a lot of people really don't, as much as, we're kind of in a high-end hobby kind of deal, right? But the truth is a lot of people don't have the disposable income to be spending money every month on a game. Those of us who can just, think, why can't everybody else? But you're not putting yourself in other people's shoes. Not everybody has those means, or they need, they're interested in entertainment, but they just don't have the same kind of entertainment budget.
So let's recap a little bit here. Crowfall, which started at Kickstarter, has changed a lot since then, delayed for a few years, is going into soft launch. It is incomplete. It is going to have permanent progression. They're doing it for the money. They're also making VIP as ridiculously needed as possible to get more money. You have to start training right away or you will forever be behind, even with their catch-up mechanic. If you don't pay for VIP, you will kind of always be at a disadvantage. Even though they say they know some people can't do VIP, it's not sounding too good. But I think it gets even worse than that. Because think of how this game is going to be promoted, right? They even said in the same podcast, which I'll link for you the full thing down below. Go check it out. It's really cringeworthy. That they are not going to put a ton of effort into trying to get a lot of players right away. They're not promoting it. They're just kind of letting it out there.
I mean, all we're saying is that we don't want to spend marketing money until we think the game is ready for it.
Right.
So we'll launch the game, but we're not going to do your normal MMO. Hey, let's go get 1 million people this month at launch. We don't want that. Mm-hmm. We want time to let the game settle and really get polished up. It doesn't mean that we're going to launch unpolished, but the moment you let people in, they start playing for real, things change.
So that means the majority of their players aren't going to realize they're behind until they start playing the game and realize they're behind. And then they're going to realize they can kind of never catch up. And then they're going to realize they kind of have to pay to even have a chance to have the options. So let me ask you, I'll just leave this video off, leaving it up to you. What do you think is going to happen when a big streamer, and just in case you didn't know, there was a streamer with over 600,000 people watching him yesterday. But what do you think when a popular streamer gets this game 6 months after soft launch, when they do their real launch? He starts playing the game and he's got tens of thousands of viewers. And he says, well, wait a minute, how come that guy just beat me? Oh, it's because he's been passive training for 6 months? Is there any way for me to do that? Oh no, it's too late because I didn't know about this soft launch. Oh wait, that guy's really good at stealthing and harvesting and hiding. And he's good at AoE. And he's good at ganking. And he's good at healing. How come I only get to pick one thing? Oh, I have to do VIP? Let me ask you, how do you think that's going to go over for the general populace? To see my most recent video, click there on the left. Another one you might like is on the right. To subscribe, click that button in the middle. And thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time.